The Starship Aegis sat in Dock 47 of the remote Vaston station, looking more like a skeleton than a ship. Its once shiny hull was scratched, dented, and rusted in places. The engines were silent. The lights flickered weakly, like a candle struggling against the wind. Once the Aegis had been the pride of the interstellar fleet, a warship capable of outrunning anything in the sector and packing firepower enough to defeat entire fleets. Now, it was just junk. Station personnel walked past it every day without a glance. "It's done," they said. "Beyond repair, leave it be." They had already stripped whatever was useful, leaving behind the parts no one thought worth touching. To them, the ship was nothing but a relic, but Jax Marlowe saw differently. Jax was not tall, and his uniform was always smudged with oil and grease. His hands were strong, his hair messy, and his eyes sparkled with curiosity. He had a reputation among mechanics and engineers across several systems. He could fix things that were impossible. And when Jax said he could revive a ship, people either laughed or quietly hoped he could. He stepped off the shuttle and looked at the Aegis. "Beautiful," he whispered to himself. To anyone else it was a wreck. To Jax it was a challenge. The station AI, a monotone voice named Vera, greeted him. "Welcome, Marlowe. Dock 47 is abandoned. Caution is advised." "Abandoned, yes. But not dead," Jax replied, striding toward the ship. He carried a worn toolbox and a small device of his own design, a scanner that could map hidden systems. The first thing Jax noticed as he climbed aboard was the silence. Not the ordinary silence of an empty ship, but a deeper, almost mournful quiet, as if the ship itself had given up hope. Dust lay thick on control panels, and wires hung like vines from the ceiling. But even in the darkness, he could see the outline of engineering genius, careful design, systems placed in ways only someone who understood the flow of energy could create. Jax moved to the engine room. His boots clanged on the metal floor. The engines were cold and dead, but he ran his hands over the main conduits. He smiled. "These weren't just any engines," he murmured. "Someone went above and beyond." He activated his scanner. Tiny blue lights flickered along its surface as it read hidden channels of power. The Aegis wasn't just a ship. It was a complex machine, a puzzle designed to be more than a weapon. And buried in its memory banks were notes from its original designer, a human like Jax, who had thought in ways aliens could not understand. Hours passed as Jax explored, examining every panel, testing every system he could reach. He found the old power core cracked, leaking energy slowly. He patched it with a mixture of standard alloy and a special polymer he carried. It was risky, but he smiled. Risk was his specialty. "Let's see if you still breathe," he said, flipping a switch. A spark jumped. The lights flickered. The engines hummed weakly, almost like a sigh. Jax grinned. "That's it, just a little more." By midday, station personnel had started to notice. Some came by to watch, curious. "You're wasting your time," one engineer said. "The council already wrote it off. This ship is trash." Jax didn't look up. "Trash," he said. "Maybe to you, but humans, we see potential where others see failure." He continued working, improvising repairs with the scraps he found in the dock. Panels that should have been useless were rewired. Energy conduits that the AI declared dead started glowing faintly. And then he found it, a hidden compartment beneath the bridge, containing a series of engineering notes and sketches. The notes were extraordinary. The designer had planned for hidden systems, adaptive shields, energy channels, and propulsion methods no alien engineer had dared attempt. The ship was more than a warship. It was a thinking ship, capable of responding to threats in ways the galaxy had never seen. Jax's heart raced. This is incredible," he whispered. He studied the diagrams, tracing the lines with his fingers. "They said you were dead, but they never understood you." Over the next few days, Jax worked tirelessly. He slept in the engineering bay, ate quick rations, and ignored the station staff who peeked in, half amazed, half skeptical. Piece by piece, the Aegis came alive. The lights glowed brighter, the engines purred like a living thing, and the ship's AI, long dormant, booted up with a soft hum. System diagnostics indicate minimal functionality, it said, its voice weak. Power core unstable. Life support at 30%. Hull integrity compromised. Probability of survival 20%. 20%, Jax laughed. I like those odds. He tapped into the ship's hidden systems. Adaptive shields blinked online, energy channels realigned, and the ship began testing its mobility. For the first time in years, the Aegis moved under its own power, though only slightly. The dock shook as its engines activated, startling the station staff. "What did you do?" one of them demanded. "I woke it up," Jax said simply, but there was a problem. The hidden systems were unstable. If pushed too hard, the ship could overload and explode. Jax realized he needed to understand it fully before trying anything risky. He spent long hours studying every diagram, every note, and every system, often talking to the AI as he worked. "You're not like the others," he said to the ship one night. "They gave up. I don't." For the first time, it seemed the ship responded, not just to his voice but to his presence. The hum of the engines shifted, almost in approval. Then, one evening, an alert flashed on the station sensors. A small squad of alien scavengers had been watching the sector and detected unusual energy readings from Dock 47. They were curious, or greedy. Jax knew they would investigate, possibly attack. He activated a test sequence. The ship moved slowly out of the dock, its engines glowing softly. Jax steered it manually, careful not to push it too far. The scavengers' ships approached. They were fast, sleek, and well-armed, designed for predatory raids. Jax felt a thrill he hadn't felt in years. "Let's see what you can do," he whispered to the Aegis. With a flick of controls and a creative rerouting of power, the ship dodged the first salvo of energy bolts. It moved in ways the scavengers did not expect, sudden bursts, sharp turns, and evasive maneuvers that should have been impossible. The scavengers shouted over their comms. It's alive." The Aegis moved like a predator, not like a clumsy wreck. With precision Jax himself was still mastering, the ship created a temporary shield and forced the aliens to retreat, their confusion evident. The station erupted in cheers. "I didn't think it was possible," someone shouted. Jax smiled but kept working. "This is just the beginning," he said. "They think it's dead. They have no idea what it can really do." By the time the scavengers had disappeared into space, the Aegis was humming steadily, alive in a way that no one had seen in years. Its lights pulsed like a heartbeat. Jax leaned back in the pilot's seat, exhausted but exhilarated. "They wrote you off," he said softly, patting the console. "But humans, we don't give up. We see what others miss, and I promise I'll show them what you're really capable of." As night fell over Vaston Station, the stars beyond the hangar doors twinkled like witnesses to a secret rebirth. The Aegis, once abandoned and forgotten, was awakening. And its story, the story of human ingenuity and courage, was just beginning. The Aegis rested in Dock 47 like a sleeping giant, but now it was more than just a ship. Under Jax Marlowe's hands, it had started to stir. The hidden systems he had discovered were unlike anything the galaxy had seen: adaptive shields, energy channels, and propulsion designs that pushed physics to its limits. But understanding them was another challenge. Jax hunched over the console, scanning the blueprints he had found in the secret compartment. "You're clever," he muttered to the ship. "The galaxy never saw you coming, and I intend to change that." Vera, the station AI, monitored him cautiously. "Marlowe, these systems are unstable. Activating them fully could destroy the ship." "Nothing worth doing is ever safe," Jax replied, smiling as he started rerouting energy to the adaptive shields. The panels flickered, then stabilized. "See, nothing to worry about." For hours he tested every system, mapping how energy flowed through the ship, finding weak points and reinforcing them with makeshift components. Every time he solved one problem, another appeared. But he enjoyed the challenge. It was like a puzzle that no one else could solve. By the next day, the Aegis responded like a living organism. The engines could now surge in bursts beyond what the original designers expected, and the shields adjusted automatically to energy pressure. Small maneuvers, sharp turns, sudden accelerations worked perfectly. Jax had made a discovery that no one else could have seen. The ship had been designed to learn from its pilot. It adapted to the human brain, recognizing patterns in decisions and predicting enemy movements. This was far beyond alien engineering, which relied on pre-programmed responses. "I think you like humans," Jax said with a grin. "Don't worry, I like you too." The excitement, however, did not go unnoticed. Far beyond the station, alien scouts had picked up the unusual energy readings. They were from a species called the Crithians, notorious for raiding and taking anything valuable from human-controlled space. When their commander saw the signals, he smirked. "Something alive in that dock," he said. "Send a team, find out what it is." Back at Vaston Station, Jax barely noticed the warning lights until Vera alerted him. "Incoming ships detected. Scanners identify Crithian raiders." Jax's heart raced, not from fear but from excitement. This was the first real test. The Aegis had moved and survived minor systems checks, but now it would face real opponents. He ran to the bridge. "Ready?" he asked the ship. The consoles hummed in response, lights flickering like nervous anticipation. The raiders arrived, sleek black ships armed with energy cannons and fast enough to outrun most patrols. They circled the station, scanning for weaknesses. One of them spoke in harsh clicks through the communication channel. "Human ship, you are abandoned. Surrender." Jax laughed. "You should have read the notes first," he muttered. He engaged the ship's propulsion system fully, feeling the Aegis respond like a racehorse. With a sharp push of the throttle, the ship leapt out of the dock. The raiders fired immediately, bolts of energy streaking past the hull. But Jax had already rerouted power to the shields in a new configuration. The first salvo bounced harmlessly off. "Impressive," Vera noted. "Shields are performing beyond expected parameters." Jax grinned. "Beyond expected, that's human style." The ship's adaptive systems kicked in. The engines surged, propelling the Aegis in sudden, unpredictable bursts. The raiders, expecting straight movement, miscalculated every turn. One crashed into a docking tower, another into a fuel silo. The remaining ships began retreating. "This is just a test," Jax said, breathing hard. "Wait until you see the real power." After the confrontation, the station crew gathered around him, eyes wide with disbelief. "How?" one of them whispered. "Humans think differently," Jax said simply. "We don't follow rules the way aliens do. We improvise, we create, we adapt." While the celebration buzzed around him, Jax focused on the next challenge. The notes he had found contained references to a final system, something the original designers called the heart of the Aegis. It was a hidden network of energy channels and AI controls that could unlock the ship's full potential. But it was dangerous. Activating it incorrectly could destroy the ship instantly. "I think it's time," Jax said. "Time to see what you were really made for." He spent the next few days preparing, reinforcing the conduits, recalibrating the AI, and running simulations. Every step had to be perfect. Unlike the small tests before, this activation would push the ship beyond anything it had ever done. Then came the first real challenge. A Crithian scouting fleet returned, larger and more aggressive. This time they weren't coming to observe, they were coming to capture the ship. Jax didn't hesitate. He activated the Aegis's hidden systems in stages, watching as the energy flowed through newly discovered channels. The shields began to shimmer in colors that alien sensors could not recognize. The engines pulsed, capable of maneuvers that would confuse even the most advanced AI opponents. The Crithians fired. The Aegis darted like a shadow, twisting and turning in ways the raiders did not expect. Energy beams passed harmlessly through the air as the ship's shields absorbed, redirected, and amplified the power. Jax felt the thrill of flight. "You see that?" he said to the ship. "They thought you were dead, and now you're showing them exactly who's in charge." The ship moved with near-organic precision, dodging attacks, outmaneuvering multiple ships at once. Jax's mind worked in tandem with the AI, predicting enemy movements, improvising strategies, and exploiting weaknesses the aliens didn't know existed. Within minutes, the raiders were in disarray. One ship collided with another. Another tried to flee but was caught in the Aegis's adaptive energy net, harmlessly disabled. The survivors scrambled back toward their own territory, sending panicked messages to their commander. The station crew erupted in cheers. Jax wiped sweat from his forehead and laughed. That was just a warm-up. After the fight, he studied the heart of the Aegis notes again. The final system required energy synchronization with the ship's AI, something no alien could do. Only a human mind could unlock it fully. Jax realized the risk. If he miscalculated, the ship could fry its core. But he also realized the potential. The Aegis could become a ship no fleet could match, a symbol of human ingenuity and courage. He spent the next night preparing the activation sequence. He worked tirelessly, double-checking every wire, every energy channel, every algorithm. Vera watched silently, occasionally reminding him of the risks. "Don't worry, Vera," Jax said, smiling. "I didn't survive this long by playing it safe." Finally, the moment arrived. The Aegis thrummed with energy as the hidden system started to awaken. The lights on the bridge pulsed like a heartbeat. The ship shuddered, testing the limits of its hull. Jax gritted his teeth and focused, guiding the energy flows, listening to the ship's responses, adjusting and compensating. Then the ship stabilized. A low hum filled the hangar, deeper than any engine sound. The Aegis glowed faintly, almost alive as if it were breathing. Its systems were fully active. Jax leaned back in the pilot's seat, eyes wide with amazement. "You're incredible," he whispered. "The galaxy has no idea what's coming." Even in the quiet after the battle, the energy signatures from the Aegis were visible from light years away. Alien scouts would detect it. Word would spread. And when it did, the galaxy would finally understand one truth humans had always known: never underestimate human ingenuity. Jax looked at the stars beyond the hangar doors. The Aegis was no longer a relic. It was alive, powerful, and ready. But this was just the beginning. The first test was successful, the ship had survived real combat, and the hidden systems were now functional. The next step was to take the ship beyond the station into open space, where its full power and danger could be tested. And Jax could not wait. The stars stretched endlessly before Jax Marlowe as the Aegis drifted into open space. Vaston Station was now far behind, a tiny dot in the galaxy. The Aegis no longer looked like a derelict ship. Its hull shimmered faintly, powered by systems no alien engineer had ever dared attempt. Lights pulsed like a heartbeat along its corridors, a living rhythm of energy. Jax sat in the pilot's seat, hands on the controls, his eyes scanning the instruments. Every sensor, every console, every panel was alive with activity. The hidden systems he had unlocked, the heart of the Aegis, pulsed under his guidance. He could feel the ship's energy flowing, adapting to his mind, almost as if it knew what he wanted before he moved. "This is it," he whispered. "Time to see what you can really do." Far ahead, scouts from the Crithian Empire detected the Aegis's unusual energy signature. Word had already spread. A dead human starship had awakened. The Crithian command fleet, vast and heavily armed, moved to intercept. They underestimated humans. They always did. Jax activated the adaptive shields fully. The ship's hull shimmered, deflecting minor energy pulses from distant scouts. He guided the Aegis forward with a calm determination. Every alien tactic was predictable, at least, to a human mind capable of improvisation. The first wave of Crythian fighters struck. Energy bolts streaked toward the Aegis. Jax's hands moved fast, rerouting power between shields and engines, using the ship's adaptive systems to dodge, twist, and turn. The raiders expected linear movements, but the Aegis moved unpredictably, slipping through attacks like water through a sieve. "Come on, old girl," Jax muttered. "Show them why humans are dangerous." The ship responded instantly. Its engines surged, propelling it in sudden bursts, spinning around to present weak points to the enemy while shielding vital systems. Jax maneuvered with precision, exploiting patterns the aliens had never seen before. One fighter tried to flank him. It exploded against an energy net the Aegis had generated just in time. Another fired too early, its energy bouncing harmlessly off redirected shields. Vera, the station AI now integrated into the Aegis systems, commented calmly, "Probability of enemy fleet success, negligible." "Negligible. I'd call that human ingenuity," Jax said with a grin. But this was only the beginning. The main Crythian fleet loomed in the distance, dozens of warships bristling with weaponry designed to crush anything in their path. Jax knew he couldn't match them in sheer firepower. Instead, he relied on strategy and adaptability, traits no alien had anticipated from humans. He activated the final stage of the heart of the Aegis. Energy channels lit up, cascading through the ship systems. The propulsion glowed with an otherworldly light. The ship moved like it had a mind of its own, fluid, fast, precise. The Crythians, seeing this sudden transformation, paused in disbelief. How is this possible?" one of their commanders shouted over the comms. Jax smirked. "Humans think differently," he whispered. "We see possibilities you can't even imagine." The battle began in earnest. The Aegis danced through the fleet, dodging heavy fire while striking with pinpoint accuracy. Its energy cannons pulsed, not just shooting but predicting enemy movement, guided by Jax's instincts and the ship's AI. Warships twice its size were disabled or forced to retreat, confused by the unpredictability of its attacks. But the Crythians were persistent. A massive cruiser turned its weapons to maximum power, aiming directly at the Aegis. Jax knew he had to think fast. He rerouted all power to the adaptive shields and engines, then executed a maneuver the aliens had never seen. The ship twisted in a sudden corkscrew, accelerating beyond expected limits. The cruiser's weapons fired too late. Energy beams missed entirely, and the Aegis countered with a calculated strike, disabling the cruiser's engines. The other Crythian ships hesitated, unsure how to respond. Jax seized the moment. He directed the Aegis in a series of impossible maneuvers, zigzags, spins, bursts of speed, outsmarting the fleet with tactics that relied on human intuition, improvisation, and courage. "This is what humans do," Jax shouted to the ship. "We survive. We adapt. We conquer the impossible." One by one, the Crythian warships began to retreat. The galaxy had never seen anything like this. A human starship, previously written off as dead, was now orchestrating the destruction and retreat of an entire fleet with nothing but clever thinking and precise action. When the battle ended, the Aegis floated in the quiet of space, glowing faintly, engines humming. Jax leaned back, exhausted but triumphant. He looked at the stars and felt a sense of pride, not just for himself but for humanity. "They thought we were weak," he whispered. "They thought we would fail, but humans, we find a way." Messages from allied colonies and nearby stations began arriving. They had detected the battle, but reports were fragmented and off-filled. "A human starship destroyed Crythian vessels," one transmission asked. "Impossible," another said. "We thought they were extinct or abandoned. Clearly, humans are unpredictable." Jax smiled. The galaxy was learning the truth. Humans were not just survivors, they were innovators, thinkers, and warriors in ways no other species could match. But even as victory settled in, Jax knew the galaxy was watching now. The Aegis would be a symbol, a warning, and a challenge. Humans had proven their ingenuity, but others would come, testing them again. He activated long-range scanners and plotted a course to the nearest human-controlled system. There were repairs to make, upgrades to implement, and lessons to record. The Aegis was powerful, but it was still a single ship against a galaxy full of challenges. Still, Jax felt confident. The ship responded instantly to his thoughts, energy pulsed through its systems, and its AI harmonized with his decisions. Together, they could face anything. "You're ready," he said to the ship. "Ready to show the galaxy what humans are really capable of." For the first time in decades, the Aegis felt like a true starship, alive, powerful, and aware of its purpose. It moved forward through space with fluid grace, engines roaring silently, energy pulsing like a heartbeat. And somewhere in the depths of the galaxy, alien fleets received the same message: never underestimate humanity. Jax glanced at the stars ahead. He didn't know what challenges awaited them, but one thing was certain. Humans were unpredictable, clever, and unstoppable when they refused to give up. And with the Aegis, Jax would make sure the galaxy remembered that lesson. The stars stretched endlessly, and the Aegis surged forward, a sleeping giant now fully awake. Humanity had taken its first step into galactic legend.